Welcome back to Real Talk, the show where we sit down with real investors doing real deals and uncover what's actually happening in today's market. Today, we got David Oates, a pioneer in the real estate closing space. He built EzREIClosings, and while
Mhm.
everybody's out there fighting over leads and marketing, David is the guy making sure those deals actually close. So, if you ever lost a deal after you already had signed a contract, this episode is for you. Now, David, give us a quick intro about who you are, where you're based, and the most important question, what exactly does EZR closings look like today?
Well, there's nothing special about me. I'm based in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I've been an investor though for 24 years, which is a ridiculous amount of time. Been doing it for a long time. Started just a million years ago in the Orlando market, back when I had a full-time job and I was just rehabbing a little bit on the side. I don't know if any of your listeners are old enough to remember the recession in 2009 and 10 and 11, but it was really bad and the housing market just collapsed in Florida. And at the time, I worked for 84 Lumber. I was an outside salesman. So that business died, the rehabbing business died, and we relocated to Chattanooga. And just out of literal desperation, because I had a wife, two boys, and three fat dogs, I had to figure out a way to do something. So we started wholesaling and had no money. I tell people we were half of broke when we started. We had less than $5,000 and we had to figure something out. So wholesaling, I tried it in Orlando, didn't work because I had a job and I didn't really need it to work. But when we got to Chattanooga, like we were desperate. I was buying blank bandit signs, writing We Buy Houses, just doing all the bootstrapping kind of things. And this is 2009. Google was just coming out, so we didn't
Mhm.
have any of the fancy tools and toys that people have available now. But yeah, we found a way to make it work. And since then I've done over 1,647, like the last time I counted a year ago, deals, like actual closed deals myself. And over that time since 2009, we kind of evolved as the market shifted. And we were doing wholesaling, then we went heavily into rehabbing, and then we were kind of balancing the two, brought on some partners, and that was when we took our business and we were wholesaling nationwide. We were one of the largest wholesalers in the country, nationwide property liquidators. And then COVID happened and we had to readjust like everybody else. But one of the things that we realized that we were doing in our business that most people weren't, and the way we realized it is people came to us for help as we were in COVID because they let a lot of their team go. But we had built up a really strong transactions team within our company, which just really means they're the people after we get the contract signed, that contract goes over to them and they get the title company and they talk to the seller and they ask all the questions and they collect all the documents and all that stuff that was really bogging me down and keeping me from doing my business. We brought in this team and trained them because we had a team of over 20 people in our office. We were running a very large operation and I didn't want my acquisitions people doing it. I definitely didn't want my dispositions people doing it. So we had a team, two, three, sometimes four people in that office just cranking out and making sure these deals closed and we got paid. And what happened was some of my friends who ran some big companies, they let a lot of their staff go in COVID. But if you remember, boom, the business like picked back right back up immediately. It was really weird. So people were calling me like, "Hey, how are you getting these deals closed?" And ultimately, a few of them said, "Hey, can we send you our deals to close?" And that was kind of the evolution of Easy REI Closing. So we are, and thank you for having me in that question. We're the nation's largest transaction coordination company. We're helping wholesalers and investors all across the country, no matter what their deal type is or where they're at, ultimately take all of that off their desk so that they can focus on revenue generating activities. And we have done over 9,000 files in the last few years. It's $681 million in closings. Our clients have made almost $70 million in profit. So we're based here in Chattanooga. We have a big office. All of our people are here, certified in the office, working every day on making sure the files get closed. That's
Amazing.
it. Nothing to
Amazing.
it. Piece of cake.
I would say it's a little more than that, but
Mhm.
amazing. And thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for the intro and giving us a breakdown on what exactly CRA closing stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, I know you work with wholesalers every day, right? So, what would you say is the one thing they typically get wrong about
Sure.
transaction coordination?
Well, wholesalers get a lot of things wrong. Unfortunately, here's a wild statistic that when I first heard it, I was shocked. So, you know who First American Title Insurance Company is? They're the largest underwriter, meaning they're the person behind title companies all over the country. So, First American, they're the largest data collector in the country. Their statistic, we were at a conference in October. was that 50% of contracts in the United States never close. That's stunning. That means literally every contract you get's a flip of the coin, whether or not it's going to close. And that was just difficult to understand. So I think what a lot of wholesalers and investors don't understand, maybe not so much about the process of transaction coordination, but it's that these deals that we have are inherently complicated, right? These aren't retail deals where somebody bought a house 2 years ago in a brand new subdivision and it's just easy peasy to get through the process. We're going out and we're looking for people who we think are going to have high motivation. So who is that, right? We're picking lists or we're targeting people. People, somebody's died, or there's probate, or there's a divorce or foreclosure or bankruptcy or bad tenants or behind on their water bill or code enforcement violations, or they're driving for dollars and the house looks like it's just a mess or it's boarded up or there's tall grass, whatever it is, right? So all of these things, they are indicators of high motivation or likely to be higher motivation. Here's the problem though. It's like this twisted up ball of twine. And to get through the closing process, what do we promise all of our buyers? Hey, Dion, I got this great deal. We're going to guarantee a clear title and proration of taxes. We all say the same exact thing. Well, what does
Mhm.
that mean? And I don't think people understand what clear title means. It means that ball of twine that's all tangled up. Somebody has to start to unwind all of those problems. So there's a divorce. Well, do we have all of the people? Do we have the divorce decree? Was the ex-wife or ex-husband ever taken off the property? What is that going to involve? Or somebody's dead? Fantastic. Is this a probate state or a non-probate state? How am I going to avoid probate if I can, right? Because you can certainly do a court for probate in any state, but a lot of times there are easier ways to do that. So do you understand what documents are going to be needed to do that? Do you even know the right questions to ask? Because this would happen to me in the very beginning when I was just here in Chattanooga and I went and found the investor friendly title company. I did what people told me to do, right? And I would go to this title company, but Dion, 3 out of 5 contracts are like, oh man, Davey, this one's probate. You're not going to be able to close this, or this one's in pre-foreclosure. And I'm literally taking these contracts and just throwing them away. And it was
Mhm.
5,000, 20,000, 15,000, right? I was throwing these things away until one day I'm like, wait a minute,
Mhm.
Jeremy, my closing attorney, we called him Dr. No. He was my personal James Bond villain. And I'm like, Jeremy, there's got to be a way to do this. This old lady's 93. She's not going to live to do probate. She's trying to move. And if she had the money, she would have done it. She's broke. That's why she's selling the house, because she's moving to Florida. What can we do? And he just sat there and looked at me for a long time. And I thought, oh, I shouldn't talk to my attorney this way. And finally, he's like, well, man, I guess if you can get a death certificate and all the heirs will sign, and you can find me 2 disinterested parties that'll sign affidavits and do all these things and these couple other things, I guess we can close it. I'm like, oh, fantastic. Here's this contract. This is I should make $16,000 on this. Let's put this back into the mix and let's get that done. So I learned that, we oftentimes put these title companies or agencies or attorneys, whoever it is, up on a pedestal, and we take
Mhm.
their first answer. And how many deals are people throwing away?
Yeah, true.
Right? That's happening. So we just got really good at that in our own business, and we trained up our team. And now, our certified coordinators that help handle deals for everybody who's listening, we just got really good at that because so many times they're just, in 9,000 deals, we've done 7,000 different ones, right? People
Mhm.
overseas, people in prison, just all of these weird and wacky situations where our clients don't want to deal with it. Nobody read Rich Dad Poor Dad and said, I want to really learn what a monumental title is and how to solve it. No, nobody did that. Nobody wants that, right? But what do we want? We want to do what we were sent here to do. We're all investors. We have special skills, right? We have the ability.
Mhm.
We're entrepreneurs. We want to help people. We want
Yep.
to help them out of their situation because we have that ability. We're so much better than realtors in that way. And we all should be patted on the back for that because that's really cool. And we want to find buyers and get them good deals so they make money. And we want to make some money along the way. But I
True.
can't do that. None of that matters if the deal doesn't close. If the deal doesn't close, this is a very expensive hobby. So I think that's one of the things is people just dramatically underestimate what it's going to take to get these deals closed, which is why there's a 50% close rate in the country. We
Mhm.
have clients that close up to 78% of their deals. That's a 56% increase just by having the right person handling your deal, treating it like it's a Fabergé egg and making sure that it gets over the finish line. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
there you
No, it
go.
makes sense. No, it totally
Yeah.
makes sense. And where would you say like most people actually lose deals? Like, would you say it's before the closing table or at the closing table?
I mean, I would say before, for so many reasons. People they'll submit a contract, right? Here's they call a title company and they say, "Are you investor friendly?" And they're like,
Hmm.
"Yeah, we're investor friendly." Because you're talking to Penelope, who's worked there 2 weeks, and she's like, "Well, we have this builder I met, and he buys lots and then he builds houses, so he's an investor. Yeah, we're investor friendly." Or she's just like, "Yeah, just send your contract over, email it over." And we used to own a title company in 6 states, the worst business ever, by the way. But, anyways, they enter it in your
Hmm.
name, the seller's name, the address, the closing date, and then they take that contract and it sits over here in a pile, or it's in their database. And 2 weeks before the closing date, they're going to pull it back up and someone's going to go, "Oh, where are we at with this? Maybe I should start a title search." Right. So it's that period of time between when your contract is signed and the closing. Let me tell you the story. This will perfectly illustrate it. So a couple months ago, we had this girl who was a client. She was a wholesaler, great
Hmm.
client. And oftentimes, when we're just starting out, or even experienced people, or you've got an acquisitions person, you don't know the right questions to ask. But she did ask. She got conditions, she got all the things, motivation, got the seller to sign. Everything is great. Everything's good. She's going to send this contract out to her buyers and, make a bunch of money. Well, she
Yep.
sends that contract over to us. So here's what we do. We assign it to a coordinator. In this case, it was Abby, who's absolutely amazing. She gets this great title company, but the first thing she does is she calls up the seller, Mrs. Smith, right?
Hmm.
So let's say, "Hey, Mrs. Smith, I'm working with Suzanne on your deal over here at 123 Main Street. Mrs. Smith, I'm going to be your point of contact from here all the way to a closing. Suzanne, go sell your deal, go get your next deal. Like, you're free, you're good, right?" Awesome.
Hmm.
So we've done 9,000 of these. So after 9,000, do you think we know most of the questions to ask up front? Right?
Yep.
Because the title company's not going to pull this up for 4 more weeks and even think about looking at it. They're not doing anything. This is not their job, and we can come back to what a title company's job is.
Hmm.
And so start asking questions. "Hey, we're going to give you a call every week. What's the best way to talk to you? Who's on title? Do you have tenants? Is there a lease? Are you are there any code enforcement liens?" "Yeah." "Cool." Yeah, cool. She's going through. It's a 5-page questionnaire. "Are you in bankruptcy?" "No." "Cool. Are you in foreclosure by chance?" "Yes, I am,"
Hmm.
she says. "Whoa, okay." Like, not a big deal. We deal with this stuff every day. Right, no problem. So a whole new set of questions. Great. Abby says, "Have they given you a sale date?"
Hmm.
"Yes, they have." "Oh, ooh, urgency just went up a little bit, right?"
Yep.
Like, now we know there's a clock. She says, "Well, what's the next question? When is the sale date?" And she goes, "72 hours from now." Holy
Well.
smokes. Now we got a problem because the title, nobody is looking at this thing, right?
Hmm.
Suzanne is probably not even going to get a buyer over there till next week. What's
Yeah.
going to be next week? Too late.
Yeah.
The title company's not running a search on this because they don't even know if you have a buyer. Why are they going to spend 300-400 bucks on it?
Yep.
So they're not going to know it's going to be sold. So had somebody not asked these questions, what would have happened? That
Yeah.
property would have been sold at the sale. And
Yep.
by the time she started sending buyers over, someone's probably going to be very upset.
Too
"Why do you
late.
have people in my house?" Yeah, it's too late.
Yeah.
So no problem. That's okay. Like, we don't panic. We do this all the time. So we put actually two coordinators on this. And over the next 2.5 days, they spent 20 hours talking to the trustee. And we were able to get that sale postponed. We said, "Hey, we've got a contract. We're going to sell it. It's going to get closed. We're good." And this is what we do every day. We're professionals, right? We don't, this doesn't get anybody excited. This is just the thing that we do. So we were able to get that foreclosure postponed. And our
Hmm.
client, Suzanne, made $36,000 on that deal. That's $36,000 that never would have happened. Never. Not a chance. 0.0% chance. So, that is just something where people underestimate and they just think that they can do it all themselves. And the reality is, yeah, you can, but this is why 50% of deals don't ever close.
Yep.
So,
Nope. True that. So I
yeah,
think this is going to be like a huge value, especially for the wholesalers you're watching this right now.
yeah.
Take this as an advice. Obviously, you can do it, but end of the day, do you want to go through
Oh,
all
yeah.
that headaches? That's
Yeah.
one of the major questions. And especially if you're starting out, do not try to figure these things out all on your own.
Yeah.
Get help from professionals who know what exactly they're doing, and they can really help you assist in the deal getting closed. Obviously, people
Mm,
might think about, you know what, let me just save a couple of bucks, let me just get these
mm,
things done by my own. But end of the day, what
sure.
exactly happens? You end up
Yeah.
losing those deals, everything goes
Yeah.
down the drain, and all the money which you spend on marketing for the leads, yeah,
Yeah.
there goes that cash too.
Yeah. I mean, let's say your average deal is 20,000.
Yeah.
How bad do you want that? I want them all to close.
Yeah.
We just closed one for 7,000 yesterday, I think.
Hmm.
They all matter. 7,000, 20,000, 100,000, right? I want them all. And it doesn't matter if you're spending money on marketing or you're driving for dollars and you're bootstrapping this.
Yeah.
We want every single deal to close. So why would you risk, a 20,000, 36,000, 40,000, $7,000 deal for a couple of $100? And like we'll show you how to charge that off to your end buyer and you can get reimbursed, and it actually we basically work for free. So yeah, just this is one of the reasons we've just grown so much over the last 5 years, is because people recognize the smartest investors in the country, whether they're doing one deal a month or every other month or 20 deals a month,
Hmm.
they realize that this is something you have to have in your business, because there's not one person, and you talk to lots of amazing investors, there's not one person that's doing volume, three, four,
Yeah.
5 deals a month, that's doing everything themselves. They're not doing their own bookkeeping. They're not doing their own property management. They're not, they're just not doing that. They understand that their job is to stay focused on generating revenue. And it's four things, right? It's marketing,
Yep.
sellers, contracts, buyers. Those four
Yep.
things: marketing, sellers, contracts, buyers. That's what you focus on as the business owner and the CEO. And the rest of it is just noise. It's all important. Pay your taxes. The IRS will come knocking. But you can outsource those to people at a fraction of the cost of what I had to do in 2003, right? You had to
Hmm.
bring in a bookkeeper, you had to bring in a coordinator, you had to hire all these people. And these are 70, $80,000 a year people. They're not cheap, not for somebody who's done, some volume and understands actually how to get your deal solved.
Yep. No, that's
Yeah,
true. And I think it makes a really good sense, like why exactly a lot of these wholesalers, especially, they need someone to guide them on the transaction coordination.
100%.
Now, I have a couple of questions. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a big one. So,
Let's go.
what would you say is the key differences in TC that wholesalers need to keep in mind, especially when it
Yeah.
comes to cash deals, closing with
Hmm.
an agent,
Yeah.
novations, or let's say if they have a creative deal? Like, if you can give
Hmm.
us like a quick breakdown.
Yeah, you have to be in control. That's it. Like 100%, you have to control your own deal.
Hmm.
There's something like 42% or 46%, I can't remember, percent of your deals will die if you let somebody else choose the title company. Think
Okay.
about it. You have a wholesale deal and you're buying from Mr. Smith, and Mr. Smith's like, I want to use my buddy. He's my golf buddy. He's going to close this.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. People do it all the time. So think about it. You're closing your assignment deal, and his golf buddy looks at that final paperwork and he calls Mr. Smith up and he's like, brother, do you know these people are making $31,000 and they're assigning your deal? Like,
Hmm.
do you think Mr. Smith is going to be happy about that? No. Conversely, we're selling it to Jimmy, and Jimmy's like, I want to use my title attorney that I always use. All right, cool. His attorney's going to do the same thing. Brother, you're paying $31,000 for this contract. How do you think
Hmm.
those are going to go? I can tell
Yep.
you they don't go well. Now, listen, I get it. You're on your last day. It's the only buyer. We have our clients will call us up and they're like, look, I know you want to choose a title company. The only way I could get the deal done is the buyer wanted to use their title company. We'll go, okay, let us call them and vet it and try to see what we can do. But again, coin flip on whether or not those deals are actually gonna close. When you start getting into the other stuff, brokers and agents and all the other things, again, here's what the coordinator does, because it's 5 or 6 different people, all with competing interests. Like they all are interested in their own part of that little pie, right? So you need somebody in the middle that can handle all that communication and keep everybody on the right page. Now you add in a couple of heirs and or 3 sellers, and it becomes like it's like herding cats. I like to
Hmm.
say cats that are on crack. And the goal is somebody has to get them all to the closing table on the same day.
Hmm.
Now, you can do that for sure. But if you're doing that, what are you not doing? You're not getting your next deal. You're not building that pipeline. And almost every single person listening to this did the same thing that I did, and you probably did at 11:59 on December 31st. We made resolutions and goals and said, this year is going to be different. This is going to be the year I do more deals, right? And I make more money. And you do not do that by muddling your way through these crazy title problems and dealing with all the people, because this is a simple business. It
Mm-hmm.
is. We can explain it to a third grader. We buy low, we sell high. Literally, I could pick any kid off the street and explain that to them in 2 seconds. If you could go out there and buy, I don't even know what candy kids eat. If you go buy this Joyride for $1 a bag and go sell it for $2, is that good? Of course it is. Real estate's the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's people that make it complicated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all the competing interests and people who are lazy and people who don't do it. I mean, it's all of that. So yeah, you can get, like stuck in the quicksand over here doing that, or you could just be getting your next deal.
Yeah,
And that's what the real operators do. And that's how they build this pipeline where it's closing after closing after closing after closing after closing.
got it. And I think the main part of the question was like, was there any key differences when it comes to TC in
Mhm.
wholesaling? Like, let's say if it's a cash
Sure.
deal or if you're
Yeah.
closing with an agent.
100%. Every deal is completely different. So for us, it takes us 2 or 3 months to train and certify our coordinators because every one of those is different. Cash
Mm-hmm.
deal, relatively easy. Let's assume the easiest cash deal sale, single seller, she doesn't owe any money or he doesn't owe any money. Cash buyer who has literally cash in the bank, easy peasy. But how many deals are like that? None. Like we all think they're going to be like that at the beginning, but it's
Mm-hmm.
afterwards when all the mayhem and the chaos shows up. And that's the easiest one to find a title company for. Not all title companies will do assignments. They're definitely not everybody will, but
Mm-hmm.
they'll maybe. But then you've got to have a different title company probably for a novation or a sub two or realtor deal. And so it's just understanding the transactions and all the pitfalls. And do you have the right contract? You don't have bad clauses in there because so many people just download these pieces of junk contracts off the internet that leave them exposed and unprotected. So yeah, just unbelievable amount of differences between all of those deals. And as you go from wholesale to novation to
Mm-hmm.
subject to FHA sub two to owner financing, like each one adds a layer of difficulty. And it's not a checklist. There is no
Mm-hmm.
magic checklist out there. People say all the time, Can you just give me the checklist?" I'm like, "Bro, 9,000 files. No, I can't. There is no checklist." I mean, I could tell you some things to watch out for when you're on the phone. Make sure you know who all the owners are. Are they all alive? Are they all going to show up? Is everybody on the same page? If there's dead people, do the heirs, is everybody on board? There's not some weird trust document where one of the beneficiaries is dead and then the brother of the beneficiary is now suing because that was a deal we did yesterday. Like yesterday, that was a deal.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you certainly have to understand all of these things, and just like random, like I'm going to go hire me a $4 an hour VA and let them just bother the title company. That will
Mm-hmm.
probably be the last deal you ever do with that title company because they don't want to be aggravated. They want to work with professionals.
Yep.
Yeah,
No, makes sense. Now, think I think you gave us like a really good breakdown about the different ways TCs can be applied in
sure.
different parts of the wholesale business. Now, let's talk about dealing with the buyer lenders, right? So I know a lot of the deals they do fall apart, not because obviously of the seller, but maybe mainly because of the buyer's financing. So
Mm,
what would you say is the best approach, especially when it comes to dealing with the buyer lenders? Are there any
mhm,
red flags that tell early on, you know what, the buyer financing
mhm.
might fall through?
Sure. Yeah, and we do a weekly call with our clients, and we talk about these kinds of things because we see different weird stuff every single week. So yeah, a couple things with when you're talking to your buyer is if you were to call me and say, "Hey, I'm calling about 123 Main Street." Awesome. My very first question is, "Hey, are you looking for something for yourself or like an investment type property?" Because I want
Hmm.
to I want to have a little fork in the road. Because here's what I don't want. I don't want to go through this whole process talking to you, showing you the properties, getting you a contract, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm going to take this down and I'm going to give it to my loan officer at Bank of America."
Hmm.
It's not going to work. It's never going to close. 99.9% of the time, it's never going to close. And I know people are like, "But I'm the one. I'm the 0.1%." It's not because traditional banks won't. They're not going to close on an assignment deal, and there's actually regulations in there. There can't be an assignment fee on a traditional loan. So the first thing is we want to make sure um, first of all, are they buying this as an investment property? Because that's just kind of an easy question to sort of separate some people. It's like, no, I'm buying this for myself, or I'm buying it for my daughter. She's moving down. Great, cool. Next question is, how do you fund the deal?
Hmm.
Great, cash. Thumbs up. Great, awesome. Or I use hard money. Okay, no problem. Or I'm using private money or my 401k, right? Because all those things will give you a little bit of a timeline. After you do enough deals, you'll understand cash. close it tomorrow. Hard money lender, okay, we got a couple questions for you. Private money, usually pretty quick. 401k, going to be a little bit longer, right? Because
Hmm.
they're going to need to know how much, and it takes time to withdraw that money, or maybe they're using a self-directed IRA. Okay, cool,
Yeah.
different set of processes because they're going to need to have the closing docs submitted, and there's a couple of extra steps. So those are great questions. But if they say or hard money, great.
Hmm.
Next question should be, well, great. What is their process? Right? Are
Yeah.
they going to require a full appraisal? Do they need a drive-by inspection, or do they need to actually go inside and give you a full inspection and breakdown from your contractor? Right. So these are those types of questions that don't just assume just because somebody says they want your property that everything is going to be great,
Hmm.
because it's not. And this right here is the crux of where so many problems happen. Is
Yep.
people, they just don't ask those follow-up questions in building rapport and figuring out the seller's pain point in repairs. Like, they just ask one question and just want to move on very, very quickly. And the
Yep.
reality is you have to be inquisitive, right? You're going to want to know these things. Again, this is why 50% of deals don't ever close, right? Because
Yep.
we just rush through the process and try to get to the end as quick as we can, right? I want to
Hmm.
ring the bell, hit the gong, order the jet. I'm going to be rich because I got a contract. But if that deal doesn't ever close, you don't have
Yeah.
a deal.
Nope. No, that's true. Now, I have this one question again. So this is something which you can say, what a lot of wholesalers actually fear.
Hmm.
So now let's say if a buyer's lender start asking questions maybe about the assignment fees or the wholesale
Hmm.
structure,
Yeah.
how should the wholesaler handle a question like that? Because these type of things do happen. Like, hey, I want to know how much you're exactly getting out of this.
Hmm. Yeah, so that's one of those things that understanding, they should be vetting their lender, right?
Mhm.
Before, if, and I'm assuming that, like, you're talking about somebody who's using a lender to close on it themselves. If it's the end buyer, if they're a legitimate hard money lender, very rarely is there an issue, and we're always happy to get on the phone. So remember in the beginning, I said, hey, we're going to call Mrs. Smith, and we're going to say, hey,
Mhm.
I'm your point of contact. Well, we're going to do the same thing with the buyer. Once
Got
you
it.
have that buyer lined up and you upload that contract to us, right, we're going to jump on the phone. Hey, Joe, we see that you're buying this property over here at 123 Main Street from Dion. Great. I'm going to be your point of contact all the way to closing. Hey, on their contract, looks like you're closing this year LLC, right? The whatever, the 123 Main Street LLC. Awesome. Cool. Listen, here's what I'm going to need. I'm going to need a copy of your corporate docs. Who's the authorized signer? I'm going to need some of those things. Can you email those over to me? Awesome. We'll make sure they're kept safe and secure. Also, how are you funding the deal? It says here hard money.
Mhm.
Great. Who are you using? Oh, cool. We're using Turnus Lending. Great. Who are you using over there? And what's their name and phone number? And we're going to jump on the phone and call and say, hey, Timmy, you're closing, Steve's loan, and I just want to see, what do you need from us? We're the transaction coordinator. We're handling this closing, and we'll make sure we get everything to the title company. So we're happy to have those conversations, but very rarely do the lenders actually care what you're making, as long as the end price meets the borrowed amount meets their threshold. They don't
Mhm.
care. There will be some
Yeah.
times where, and we've had this before, where they don't like a particular type of contract and they want to an assignment contract, or they will just want something particular, and we're
Mhm.
happy to work with them to get that done and get that back to you and say, hey, here's what we need. Also, I've done over 1,600 deals. So we have a contract that I use that has all that kind of stuff built in for it. So, we offer that to all of our clients, and that usually solves it.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Now, I know I have a couple more questions too, but I'll
sure.
just kind of like speed it up for you.
No, well, no, that's it. Go hit me with it, man. I'm ready. I love this.
Okay. So, I know, okay, obviously you do see like a lot of deals, right, coming from different kinds of operators. Now,
Hmm.
what would you say, uh, what disposition strategies have you seen to be the most successful, especially when it comes to getting the deal from start to finish?
Yeah. Yeah, great question. We actually have 9,000 deals. We've tracked it endlessly, and probably like you guys. So, what are we talking? 2024, it was about 40% wholesale, 40% novation, which is very
Mhm.
even. And then that last 20% is spread out with self-purchase, sub-to, just kind of creative stuff. Last year, though, we saw wholesaling jump up to 48%, and then novations dropped down. So we saw a shift from novations back into wholesaling. And some of that was the market, less end buyers, that type of stuff. I think novations were, they were so strong during COVID and when interest rates were really cheap. And what was happening is, inside, Metro Charlotte, there was no house to be bought. So they were able to novate stuff that was more rural. And, as the market tightened up and there's more houses available, people have contracted back into the more rural areas. And that's one thing that we've seen. There's a 58% likelihood that your deal dies if you're trying to sell it in a market under 100,000 people,
Hmm.
right? So the goal is, of course, look for deals and spend your time and your money looking for deals where there are buyers. Always start with the end in mind. So yeah, that's probably one of the very biggest things.
Wow. Nice. And I thought wholesaling was slowly starting to die out, but I think.
No, no, no. We have over 600 clients, and we track um, number of files uploaded per month by client, and it's
Hmm.
actually ticked up like not quite half a contract per month because some people do one, some people do 20, but yeah, it's definitely ticking up, and we're seeing assignment fees go up. No, this is an amazing time to wholesale. Think about it. If you could wholesale during COVID, when the
Hmm.
market was at the peak and it was freaking crazy, if you could do it then, when anybody could put a sign in the front of their house and sell it. You're telling
Yeah.
me now you can't figure out how to wholesale when people are losing sleep at night? They put their house on the market and it's not selling and the economy is terrible, which it's not. But that's what the news says. You're telling me now you can't go out and do this business? You can't find somebody motivated? Come on, man. That's baloney. So the serious operators that are out there are like, yeah, wholesaling's terrible. You should get out of the business. And they're like, how many more contracts can I gather up here, right? Like
Hmm.
they're absolutely crushing it right now.
Wow.
And
Well.
that's the advantage that we have because different from probably some other people like the lead gen people where they see it on the front. We see the back end.
Hmm.
And we do deals with some of the largest wholesaling operations and coaches too. So we get to see like behind the curtain of what's really going on.
Yeah. No, no, totally makes sense, guys. So if you're
Mhm.
listening to this, wholesaling is not going out anytime soon.
No,
And I know
no.
a lot of guys, they told me something otherwise. They're like, you know what, novations is more popular right now, wholesaling. I see it
It's not true.
decreasing. Yeah.
That's what I'm telling you. It's not true. 9,000 files. Our data is as good as anybody's. Novation's still a good strategy. Still works.
Hmm.
But no, wholesaling is alive and well. There are definitely regulations against it,
Hmm.
of course, but there's always a way around that, whether it's double closing or something like that. But you know, listen, here's the thing. Let's all be for real. I don't care whether the market is up or down.
Hmm.
Life still happens, right? Life happens to people, right? So
Yep.
people are getting divorced, people are dying, people are getting married and have two houses, people have bad tenants, people inherit houses. Like nothing changes. People still having babies, right? Like the world keeps operating. And there are people pretty much, I would say, within a mile of every single person who ever listens to this, where you put your head down at bed at night, there's somebody within 1 mile of you who is also putting their head down and losing sleep about a property. They
Hmm.
can't deal with it. They got a bad tenant. A car went through the front wall. There's a tree on the roof, whatever.
Yep.
Every day. Like that doesn't change. Like I don't know why people think that changes somehow. Like I get it. Man, I've been in the shower and gone, oh my God, there's no more sellers for us to talk to. We've talked to every buyer that there is. But that's your brain playing tricks on you. Get up in a plane and look down. There's 300 and what, 80 million people, plenty of people for us to all buy houses from. Get off your butt. Every single person in here, every single person listening, 100%. And I hate this analogy, but if I was to hold a gun to your loved one's head or your dog's head, and I told you you have 24 hours to go out and find a deal, every single one of us will go out and find a deal.
Yep. They would.
There's no lack. There's no lack of deals. You can go find it. You just got to get off your ass and go do it. People are lazy. People are looking for, I want, you know, I just want to just
Something to fall
magically.
into their lap.
Yeah, I'm sitting on it, in my living room, my feet up on the coffee table, and I just want this contract to just magically fall down on me. No,
Yeah.
it's not gonna. It's not the way it works, which is why people fail. But if you go out and do the thing and follow the very most basic steps,
Yep.
leads,
No, no, no.
sellers, put it under contract, find a buyer. It's not rocket science. We can all get in our car today and go to the rundown side of town, write down a bunch of addresses, pick
Hmm.
up the phone and call them.
Yep.
It's
No,
not
you're
hard.
totally right. No, you're totally right. I
Yeah,
think that's
of
something
course
which
I'm right. I've been
is
doing
a
this for 24 years. I've seen every version of it, and I've seen people that are very smart, and I'm like, oh, this guy's going to crush it,
yeah.
but they're afraid to pick up the phone.
Yeah, he might not be that motivated to get this deal done, right? That's it.
Yeah, how bad do you want it? Remember, I said your deal's 20 grand. How bad do you want it? What are you willing to
Exactly.
do? That's all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, I know this is the last question. So,
All right.
a lot of new wholesalers, I know that's especially when they're starting out, they struggle with pricing. Like they either leave too much on the table or they might get greedy and at the end of the day, the deal does not even go through. What's
Right.
your advice for new wholesalers?
Oh my God. Are we starting a new 30-minute podcast? Because we might
Just
need
like
30 minutes.
just a quick 1 minute advice for them.
Yeah. So a couple things. One is, you don't just give the seller what they want. In fact, I don't even ask the seller what they want. Here's what I would say. First off, you have to understand why they're selling. You have to understand what their pain point is, right? And everybody has a pain point if they have any motivation. Two, you have to have good rapport, and you have to, three, understand the condition of the property
Hmm.
before you ever even get into any of that stuff. I never ask the seller what they want, ever, 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 ever. You know what I would say? And if you're listening to this and you've made it this far, I'm going to give you probably the best advice you've ever heard. So, Dion, let me see. So, let's do this. Let me look, and I would say it like this. Let me take a look at what properties like yours in your area are selling for. And I'm hitting my mouse and I'm looking. I'm like, okay. All right. So we've got this one over on, now we're seeing it on my phone. Um, we're looking at this one. You're on 123 Main Street. Here's this one, 126 Elm Street. That's like the next street over, right? Okay, cool. So it sold February 14th for 88,000. Then there's this one on Main Street. That looks like it's about a third of a mile from you, and it sold in December for 91,000. And then there's this other one that sold for this amount, and then this one sold for this amount, and this one sold for this amount. So looks like houses like yours are selling anywhere between like 74, really like 87,000. That seems to be about where they're selling for. Does that make sense?
Yep, it does.
There you go. And that's what most of the time, that's what they'll say. But you know what I
Hmm.
didn't do? I didn't say, well, I can only pay you this. I didn't say, what do you want? Because what do they want? $1 million. Everybody wants a million. You're right. They all want more than they're
Yeah,
ever
they
going to
want either
say.
the market value or maybe slightly above
Right.
it. Yeah,
Or they're just afraid that they're going to say too low of a number.
yeah.
And I'm not telling them that their house is a piece of crap. I'm not. What am I doing? I'm just telling them. And what I'm looking at there is I just really quick, I pulled a list of cash comps. So that means I can't be in a non-disclosure state. That doesn't work. So I
Hmm.
wouldn't be in any non-disclosure state other than Texas anyways. But I want to stay in places where I can see what cash buyers are paying. If you don't understand that, Google what non-disclosure and disclosure states are in real estate. But now I'm just saying, hey, here's what houses like yours are sold for.
Hmm.
I'm not telling you that's what your house is worth. And I'm not going in order up or down. I'm kind of mixing them up a little bit. That's why I talk slow. And it's like it's the first time I've ever thought of this. And we're having this conversation. And hey, does that sound like what you're looking for? And they can say no. Cool. I'm not the one that told them their house was worth half of what they wanted. But I can say, no. Well, what were you thinking?
Hmm.
Oh, well, there's one down the road sold for 400,000. What's the address?
Yep.
Hmm. Yeah, it did sell for 400,000, but beyond yours is a 1960 1,200 square foot house, right? I have that right. I want to make sure I'm doing this correct. Yeah. Well, that's a 2007 build that's 4,000 square foot.
Hmm.
Those aren't really the same, are they?
Nope,
I
they're
can't
not.
really, and I would say I can't really price those the same. So hey, this one on Elm Street, it's within 50 square foot of yours, same year, right? So I'm just going back to that, and that's called reframing. That's a whole different kind of conversation than, hey, so tell me what you're looking for. 300,000. Best I can do would be 78. Well, I wonder why your offers aren't getting accepted.
Yep.
Like we figured this out. 70% of ARV minus repairs is crap and it's archaic. And that's what they did in the 70s. We have better data than that now. Because the problem with, and I know I'm going long, but the problem with 70% of ARV is people overinflate the ARV. They go to the absolute highest number because they know if I only go 70% of that, like your brain's playing tricks on you and I can offer more and I'm going to get it accepted. And they always underestimate repairs like, oh, that's a $15,000 repair job. No, son, that's probably 60, right? So now what have you done? You've messed up your numbers and your number's worthless now.
Yeah.
But what I can do is when I see what other cash buyers are paying for similar size, similar condition houses, I have the teacher's book. I have the edition or the teacher's edition, right? I have absolutely the answer. I know what cash buyers are paying for similar size properties. If I can get it a little bit below that, that's my assignment fee. So that's it. And I know I went super long and I apologize, but I told you I can talk too much.
Yeah, no. I think this is one of the amazing advice. And guys, this is pure gold. Obviously, you'll only get to know about it till you watch the end of the episode, where David actually reveals secrets on how to exactly handle the price when it comes to wholesaling, especially for the guys just starting out. David, thank you so much for being
Yeah.
part of the podcast. At the same time, also giving us real value on what exactly transaction coordination is, and on top of that, how easy area closing handles the entire operation from start to finish. Now,
Awesome.
guys, if someone is watching this right now and they're losing deals after the contract is signed, buyers ghosting, maybe titles falling apart, they don't understand how the closing process works. Obviously, this is get in touch with David Oates or with someone in Easy RA Closing. They can handle this entire part for you from start to finish.
Yeah.
Now, David, for the guys who want to get in touch with you, how
Yeah.
exactly should they get in touch? Is Instagram the best, or should they get
Yeah,
on the
you can
website?
hit me up on Instagram, David Olds REI. If you guys have a link that you want to drop here, that would be great too. You can certainly always book a call with me or somebody on my team. And yeah, let's just have a conversation, right? What did you do last year? What are your goals for this year?
Mhm.
And if we can help you, fantastic. If we can't, we will definitely point you in the right direction. Leon, my life has been amazing. It's better than I probably have any right for it to be. And it's because of real estate, right?
Mhm.
I've been able to travel around the world and go to cool places like China and Dubai and Europe for a month and just go all over the place and go speak on stages in front of 1,000 or more people, right? It's crazy. And then get to be on podcasts and speak in groups. But none of that would have happened if my deals didn't close. So that's, every day when I get up and I think, there's somebody who maybe it's their first deal or their 10th deal and they need this thing to close, right? That's our guiding light of how do we help our clients experience that life that we've been lucky enough and some of our biggest clients have had. How do we help you get there? Because there's plenty of houses out there. We know that wholesaling works. We see it every single day. We get 50, 60 contracts a week uploaded to our
Mhm.
team. Like we're
Yep.
doing closings every single day. I see it. $400,000 assignments, $10,000 assignments. It's like boom, 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 boom. Wires are going in and out
Mhm.
constantly. So
Yep.
if you're watching this and you haven't even done your first deal yet, one, understand that this works, right? And I understand how hard it is to get that first deal done sometimes, but let us be in your corner, right? Let us be here to take all of the contract and the legal stuff, all of that off your desk so you can just spend your time
Totally.
pounding the
Yes.
phones, talking to people, closing deals, and just helping people with their problems. That's it. That's our job. That's our job as CEOs and entrepreneurs and real estate investors.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate you, David, from Easy REI Closings, a pioneer in the closing space, for hopping on this call. Guys,
Yeah.
if you got value from this, you already know what to do next, right? The biggest deal in the world means nothing if it doesn't close. So get your back end right. That's, I think, the one thing which I'm going to say to all the folks watching it. Well, guys, that's it for today's episode. We had David Oates here sharing some amazing insights, dropping some bomb on wholesaling at the same time on how exactly transaction coordination works. Tune in next week, guys, where we're going to be coming up with new guests, new updates, and new processes. That's it for today, guys. Take care.